Hello students, I am Akanksha and this is my channel Science Par Charcha, in which we will study about some of the very basic science concepts that are in our NCERT books, and I hope you all are as excited as I am to learn new things. So now we will begin with our today's class.
So, good morning, students. Now we will be starting our today's class, and the topic for our today's class is infectious disease, right? So, now moving on to our next slide, what can you observe in these pictures? Right? In the first picture, you can see like this lady is like coughing, right? Very badly. And in the second picture, you can see this whole family is suffering from cough and cold. And same is the condition with the third picture, right? As you can see, this person is sneezing. So what is common in all these three pictures? Here you can see that all these people are suffering from either cold, either they are sneezing, either they are coughing. So all these symptoms are of a particular disease that is known as the common cold. Okay, and common cold is an example of an infectious disease. And so from these pictures and from the symptoms of common cold, what can you infer about the infectious disease? So we can say that infectious diseases are those diseases that spread through coming in, like when we come in direct contact with an unhealthy or the infected person, right? We can say this about the infectious diseases, right? So now we will move on to our next slide where we will see our today's topic, that is infectious diseases, right? So now we will see some important points about this disease, like here this disease, like this infectious disease, this is caused by certain organisms, right? These diseases, they are caused by certain organisms, and these organisms are called as pathogens. Pathogens are sometimes, so like they are very harmful microorganisms. These microorganisms, like sometimes they are harmful for our body, but sometimes they are not harmful, like they can benefit our body also. But here, as we saw in this definition, like there are some disease causing microorganisms and they are harmful, right? Like there are certain bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites. Now here are the different pictures, and all these microorganisms are microscopic, right? So here, this is the picture for fungi. Fungi, like they're brush kind, they have a brush kind of structure. Now moving on to the protozoans, like protozoans is like seahorse, they have a seahorse type of structure. Then coming to the bacteria, they are round in shape. And then coming to the viruses are also round in shape, but they have like spikes coming out of them. So these were the different organisms causing diseases and how they look, right? So now if we move on to our next slide, what we can see is now moving on to our next slide, here we can see the different points related. We can see the different points or like the additional information about the pathogens, right? Or like about the infectious diseases. So here, what we can see is like there are many organisms that live inside our body, right? Live in. So they are microorganisms that are living inside our body. Like you must have heard about certain bacteria that live in our stomach, right? And these bacteria, they help us in digesting our food. So in a kind of a way, we can say that these microorganisms are helping our body. So they are sometimes helpful for us, like living inside our body and performing their functions, right? And sometimes these microorganisms, they live on our body. On our body means like on the surface of our body. As you must have seen in certain videos, like these microorganisms, sometimes they live on our body causing these acne and all. So these are, there are certain microorganisms. Normally these microorganisms, they are harmless, right? As we talked about the bacteria present in our stomach, and sometimes they are even helpful. But under certain conditions, like under certain conditions, some organisms may cause diseases, right? And now if we come to our second point, we will see like some infectious diseases can be passed from person to person, as we saw in the earlier pictures, right? The different, like the whole family was suffering from the common cold. So here the common cold was an example of an infectious disease, and if one person of our family is suffering from common cold, then it spreads to the whole family. So now, if we move on, in our next slide, we will see like how these infectious diseases they spread through, right? Like the different methods that these diseases they are spreading in our body, right? Now there are two main there are two main methods through which these diseases they spread. First method is the common cold. The first method is the physical contact, right? Physical contact here means like if we directly are touching touching the infected person, we are coming in direct contact with that person, right? Like here, and the second point is through external factors. Now these both of the points we will see in this picture, right? This picture right here we will see, like if this is a healthy person and if this is an infected person, like we can say this infected person is suffering from chicken pox as they have red spots in their body, right? So if this is a healthy person and if this healthy person comes in contact with this infected person, like if they are shaking their hands, right? uh, and if this infected person he directly sneezes or coughs on an healthy person, so through these both methods, they comes under like the direct contact. From these two methods, the disease is spreading directly from an infected person to unhealthy person. And also there's this third method which also comes under the direct contact, and that is sometimes, sometimes what the doctors and nurses they do mistakenly is like they inject the same injections from an infected person to a healthy person. Sometimes mistakenly it happens, and this can also cause the disease spread, right? So these three methods were the direct contact methods, right? So now if you move on to the indirect contact methods, how through indirect contact this diseases can spread is like if we use the used towel of an infected person, right? So the pathogens are there and they will spread to the healthy person. Or if we are using the soap that the uninfected person used, or if we are using like if we are eating from the same utensils, or we are using the used clothes of the infected person, so these all methods can also cause the disease spread, right? And then coming to our third point, that is like coming to a second point, how the disease can spread through the external factors, right? In external factors, it can spread through like by insects and animals like flies, right? When you must have heard our family members, like our mothers say whenever we go out, like क्या कूड़ा खा रहे हो, and the next day you will like परेशान करके रखोगे हमें, पेट खराब हो जाएगा and all. And why they say is because that the region, like the stalls, the roadside stalls, they're like here the pathogens, these harmful pathogens and these insects and animals, they can be found in abundance, right? And then they will cause these diseases. So yes, this is one of the reason why we should always eat hygienic food and homemade food, and we should avoid the places where there are more insects. And like also like these fly are one of the indirect or the external factors causing infectious disease, and also these mosquitoes are also causing like malaria and dengue, and also the wild animals, as we all like to pet our animals, right? So but these animals like the wild animals usually that they are roaming in the road, what they have is like they have the harmful pathogens, and this can also cause the disease spread. So this was all the reasons through which the disease can spread. Now coming to our next point, like these are certain examples of the infectious diseases. First was the common cold that we discussed in the earlier pictures. Second is the cholera, right? Cholera, what happens in cholera is like there is severe dehydration in our body, and our body is suffering from diarrhea, and there is very much water loss. And why this happens? It is caused by a certain bacteria that we get through the contaminated food and water, right? And second disease is malaria. We get this disease from this mosquito spread through the external factors, right? And then comes the chicken pox. Chicken pox is this one, and the symptoms of this disease is like there is high fever, red spots, and these are the different symptoms of these diseases and how these different diseases are caused, right? So now, if we move on to our next slide, we will see like how we can keep ourselves disease free. Like these points are very important to keep our body healthy. First one is handle and prepare food safely. This is one of the very important point. Why we have to do this is because if we eat unhygienic or contaminated food and water, it will cause a certain diseases like the cholera was caused through it, the malaria, the dengue, different diseases are caused through unhealthy or unhygienic food and water. So here it should be prepared properly in hygienic condition. Now moving on to the next point, we should wash hands often. And this is one of the very important points that we are following right now in the COVID period. Why? Because our hands are always coming in contact with the surface areas, or like some areas are dirty, like some surfaces are dirty. So from those dirty surfaces, microorganisms like harmful pathogens, they come in contact with our hand, and from hand, they enter our body. So yes, so this is the reason why we should wash our hands. Now coming to the third point here is we have to clean and disinfect commonly used surfaces, and this we can do through sanitizers and all. Why? So it will kill the pathogens, harmful pathogens, right? Now moving to the fourth point, cough and sneeze into your sleeves. This point means is like whenever we are coughing and sneezing, we should always use a handkerchief or we should cover our mouths, right? Like now we are wearing the masks and all. Why? To cover our mouth area before we are sneezing. So this is one of the main important point. And also coming to the fifth point, don't share personal items. Yes, this is a very important point. We should not share our personal items like the comb or our soap or our towels, personal towels with other people. Why? Because this will lead to disease to spread more from like another person to ourselves or from us to another person. Yes, so this was the fifth point. And sixth point is getting vaccinated. This is also very important. Why we should get vaccinated? Because when we get vaccinated, these vaccines, they build immunity in our body to fight a certain disease, right? Like in the time of COVID, as it is going on right now, what happened was we all got vaccinated, right? We took Covishield, Covaxin. Why we took it? So that our body can build the immunity to fight this COVID, right? So this is also an important point. Now coming to the seventh point, what we have to do is we have to avoid touching wild animals. This is also important. Why? Because these wild animals, they are roaming to different places. Some places are dirty, some places are clean also. But whenever they visit a dirty place, they bring certain harmful microorganisms with them. And this can cause the disease spread. Now coming to the eighth point, like we have to stay home when we are sick. This is also a very important point. And why we have to do is because whenever we are sick, our body is weak. It has a low immunity. And when the body is weak, it attracts the diseases, right? Our body can easily get infected with diseases. So this is also one of the main important point, that whenever we are sick, we have to keep our body in a proper checkup, and we have to like stay home and rest properly. So now we are done with our today's class. Thanks for watching my video. You can like it, you can comment on it, and please share it with your friends and family, and also subscribe and help my channel grow. Okay, so bye.